Hey y'all, I'm Janae and welcome back to Make Room. This series is all about helping you see your home differently and creating spaces that truly work for your life. Now look, we're in phase 3 and this is where it all comes together. This is where we take design further than the small tips and changes that you can make in your space. And we start thinking about strategy and experience and professional support and how we actually help individuals in their homes take something from a vision, a plan for their space, and take it to full execution. In this episode, we're talking about styling, and not just in the way that you see on social media. We're really wanting to focus on editing and restraint and how you can really start making your space tell a story that feels like you. So let's get into it. Today's video is going to be a little different because I really just want to show you spaces that we worked in and really talk about the decisions that we made for the final styling, as well as showcase a couple other designers that we're really feeling inspired by. But before we get into that, there's something that I have to emphasize. The styling phase of any project is the last thing that we do. We don't just jump right into styling. Now, although that is the most fun part of it, and it's usually the piece that is shared on social media the most, when we're adding the final lamp, the final book, but none of that comes together without a plan. Just like what we shared in some of our earlier episodes of this series, we do the same process with our clients. We come in and we do an assessment to really focus on the function, the flow, the feeling that we want in the space. From there, we're able to start working on a true design for the space, thinking about the materials, the furnishings, the art, anything high level. And that's typically where we're gonna see more of our budget spent. And we're able to do this because of a couple things. One, we spend so much time in that editing process to where we really go through and figure out what's gonna stay in the home. And that might give us some pieces that we can definitely use, both large and small, in the space. Plus, we're also gonna be looking for any of those pieces that really speak to you. This could be the lamp that was passed down from your auntie. This could be a book that's really important to you. It could be a souvenir piece that you got on your favorite vacation. Whenever we're doing that assessment, we're basically holding on to items that we're gonna be able to use in the final styling. So that's why everything we've done in this series so far is really bringing us to this point. We have to do that planning. Every single step has a reason to get to the final styling. So let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the spaces that we've done. And I'm gonna walk you through the decisions that we made, why we made them, and how the final styling not only supports the design, but supports the individual that lives there, okay? So first up, we have this office space, and it was in a really tight corner. So on the other side of the room, there's actually a desk, there's a whiteboard, there's just a couple of things, but not a lot to really focus on there. We decided that the other corner of the office space was really where we wanted to focus. And so some of the choices that we made here were solely focused on what they needed in the space. So it is a more minimal design, but that's our design aesthetic. And after we had the bigger selections from the color theory of the space, we're able to add in just a couple of things that added some personality into the space. So for instance, they like puzzles. So we have a puzzle box right here, but we've also added a vase where we added some puzzle pieces in it. So they can always pull out, be able to do a new puzzle right there from that piece. We added a Marshall speaker. They really like that brand. So again, it's very personal to them. They then can connect to their phone or their computer and listen to music in their office. Of course, we added some lighting because that is so important. We also have some overhead lighting right here on the artwork. And then the chairs that are in this space are for those few times where maybe they have a guest that's in the space, but these also roll around so they can actually be pulled out of the space and used in other areas of the home because they work within the larger color palette of the entire home design. Ultimately, this room is moody, but we have a really good balance between some of the black finishes. We lighten it up right here with the table selection because we paired it with some really bold, chunky chairs. And this is how the final styling came together. It works for them, and we think it looks beautiful too. Next, we have this kitchen space. Now, for this space, we did the entire renovation, the flooring, new countertops, cabinetry, tiling. We did these open shelves that we stained in a warmer tones to match the entire kitchen space. But what I really want to focus on is some of the choices we made for this key area right here. So on this bottom level, we really wanted to focus on what they do in the morning, which is having coffee and tea. So we added a bowl here that holds their Keurig pods. this tray. We added, this cute honey container, cups that they had, sugar, this cutting board, and these cookbooks were already there, so we added those back into the space. Then we moved up to the next level. We focused on the kids and snacks. That was important whenever they come back home. So not only does this look really great, but they can grab very quickly a snack that they want. We have some quick plates and cups that they can grab. And then the top shelving are more just those personality moments. So the artwork that we added here is a nod to their home country, and then just some vases and bowls, pieces that they're not gonna touch that often, but they still round out the palette that we see in the rest of the kitchen space with some of the florals, lighting fixtures, everything that we picked that's not pictured here. So the styling at the top is more aesthetic, but the styling at the bottom is truly built to function well for them. Next, we're focusing on a bar nook that we did for a project, and I really wanted to pull this one out because it truly focuses on what we talked about when it comes to open shelving and closed storage. We wanted them to have both in this space. So what we have down here is organized for all of their back storage, hosting, bar items. But the reason we styled this space this way, they wanted a much more moody, modern look. And so we were able to utilize some pieces that they already had, like these cocktail books, this decanter, which was really important to their family, something they've had for a long time. Even, these are all the spirits that they already had in their home, another decanter here. And we paired that with some essentials like sparkling water that they may use whenever making a drink, a couple of cocktail glasses where they have additional ones in this bottom storage, a couple of light vases up here, and some artwork. So again, it looks really nice. It has a minimalist feel. The area up here is not heavy to maintain, and this is all about functioning for the bar. And also, as a note, of course, we added a lamp. We think every space needs a lamp. This one, what I really want to focus in from a styling standpoint is the use of color and texture here. So we're zoomed in on the corner of this living room space, and you'll notice that we are varying heights right here. None of these pillows are the same size. They're also different pillows, so different textures. This one has more of a velvet, this one has a pattern. They're all within the same tonality of the color palette here. And then behind it, you'll notice that we've worked in what we call threes. So we have a grouping right here of 3, 1, 2, 3. We have a grouping right here, and we have a grouping right here on our entry table sideboard that we've added, which is all closed storage for them. And so this is really important because it allows us to have some empty space. It allows the room to breathe. But when we come back to this area, this feels really warm and cozy because we've layered in the texture. We have different things that you can feel and see. And so it's just not all one color, but it's all within that same color theory. Which brings me to this one that we pulled out, which is again zoomed in from a bedroom space that we worked on. And here I'm focusing on the color once again. We have our main color, which is this green, this really yummy, deep color. And then we added in accents of black and gold. And so although it's maybe a little dark for you to see in this picture, we have some gold knobs that are on this nightstand. And we really wanted to emphasize that gold once again with some of the elements we added with the lamp, these little vases right here for flowers, and then even this piece that's on the shelf that can be used for jewelry has some gold embellishments to it. So we focus on the color palette here that makes that final styling look really good, but again, function for the space. Next, I want to shift into just a couple other designers that I absolutely adore, because although here at Woodson Interiors we have a more minimalist approach to our design, I think that there are people who may have a little bit more stuff, and I think that this is a really great example of how that final styling can be done. You'll notice, once again, some of the things that Amber Guyton from Blessed Little Bungalow does here is that although I don't know who her client is, my thought process is that these are probably their albums, some of their books, maybe this is their plant. But again, she's done this grouping, she's thought about the colors and kind of pairing light colors together. She's added, over here there's a table, so we kind of have some height variation. We have some height variation even throughout the shelving. And then you'll notice her pillows are not matching. We have a lot of texture here. All of those layered selections that happen in that final styling really round out this space, and it feels really warm and inviting, but this has a lot of personality. Now on the flip side, let's say you are very minimalist and maybe you like a more rustic feel, then you may love woodward throwbacks. They have a much more vintage aesthetic. And what I really love about this image right here is how they've utilized coffee books. A lot of times we love to put coffee books on a coffee table or style them on a bookshelf of sorts, but I love their use of this in an entryway because they did this side stack, a normal stack, and then another one that has a bowl or a vase on top of it. And so even just the variation in how they use the books, if you have a lot of books, this could be done in so many different ways, stacked in variations. And that's the power again of the grouping process, which you'll notice that even up here, she has the grouping, and then some open empty space. It's really lovely. And then finally, we have this beautiful kitchen space by David Quarles at Studio 417 Design. And the reason I wanted to emphasize this one is because this is heavy color, heavy contrast. It's really bold. When we think about the styling, it's used very minimally here because they're really letting the other elements breathe. And there's still a use of the additional color palette by having kind of the blue here, the blue on the kettle, the blue right here on the mixer, even right here in the bowls. He's made sure to kind of have that be very cohesive in the design. There's also a lot of open space because we already have some really beautiful design elements here that we kept it open in this area. We kept it open on the shelving. We didn't try to pack in everything into one area because we still have to be able to utilize this space. So just wanted to pair this one in here because if you want to go bolder on some of the main elements, whenever you do your styling, you might want to pull back and go a little lighter there to really, once again, let whatever that key moment is shine. I know we flew through that pretty quickly, but the fun thing about this series is you can go back and rewatch as many times as you like. But let me go ahead and pull out some of the key points. First up, be open to embracing emptiness. Every single space doesn't have to have an item. Every single shelf doesn't have to be packed to the brim. Now, yes, if you want a maximalist feel, certainly you can do that. But here at Woodson Interiors, we really focus on a more minimalist approach, very art forward, very joyful. And so we love to have some emptiness. We really love our spaces to breathe. Next up, color theory, and this goes back to that editing process. When you're starting to pull out different items in your home that already speak to you, or maybe you are gonna go purchase just one or two additional items to bring in the space, think about that palette. Think about the colors that really feel like something to you, that really speak to your personality, but also maybe the items that you already have, and try to work within that color palette. Third would be grouping. You'll notice that in most of the spaces that I showed, items were grouped either in pairs of threes. We have that triangle effect. We have that kind of roller coaster feel where we have some height variations going on. That grouping process is just going to be really natural on the eyes and make your home feel much more styled and maybe like a designer did it. Fourth, I want you to consider your reference point. Every single space doesn't have to be overly done, super styled, magazine ready. You know, in the space that we shared about the office area, on the other side of that room, it's just a desk, a whiteboard, a couple of key office pieces, because when they're there, they're just working. On the other side is where we spend more focus on the style, the function, the look of it, because every single space doesn't have the same focal point. So think about that. Where are the areas when you walk in, you're like, that's the spot, that's where I want to focus my styling on. And maybe that little corner over there just has a chair with a blanket thrown over it, and that's okay. And finally, when it comes to areas that we have to sit on, so I'm thinking your couch, your bed, pile on the texture, pile on the pillows, the throws, the blankets. Add in as much comfiness as you possibly can, because here's the thing, you can always fold them up, put them in a basket, you can always move them out the space, you can, in my case, throw your pillows on the chair whenever you go to bed, but that piled on, that really full, that lush, that comfy feeling is just such a designer take that I will stand by every single time. So it's okay if you add an extra pillow or two. In our next episode, we're going deeper in designing for the long game. How we as designers make sure our clients don't have regret for those really high investments and permanent features, like your flooring, your countertops, your cabinets. So if you're not subscribed, now's the time. Go ahead, click that button so you can be back here next week, because we have so much more to share. And if you're already feeling like you're ready for some professional support, whether that is styling, organizing, or design, you can click the link below to book a discovery call. We'd love to support you. And until the next one, bye.